The British Museum holds millions of African artifacts: Benin bronzes, Ashanti gold, Ethiopian manuscripts, sculptures, masks, sacred objects. African nations have been requesting their return for decades, but the British Museum says they legally cannot return them.
I think when we demand what was stolen from Africa, we call them artifacts. Sure, some were artifacts, but not all of it were artifacts. A lot of what the white people stole from us is our spiritual heritage that they use now to govern us. They wanted the golden stool so desperately they were prepared to go to war for it because they knew the power of the golden stool.
Most of these arts were collected between the 17th and 21st century, meaning that they were probably stolen or taken by force.
See, they were stolen or taken by force. The Vatican, the church above all churches. This is what we are talking about. And we cannot run away from this. This is what they've done. There is nothing holy about stealing other people's stuff.
If Africans had not created these priceless artifacts, put value on them, and preserved them, Britain would not have found them to steal them in the first place. So who is best placed to protect these artifacts? And the true meaning of these artifacts, it most definitely is not the thief, i.e. Britain. It's the owner.
Starting today, Germany is returning over 1,000 stolen Nigerian artifacts. But as a person with Nigerian roots living in Germany, it's a move that I see as way overdue.
Didn't just take the artifacts, they wrote a law to make sure they'd never have to give them back. The British Museum Act of 1963. Still in effect today. Follow Afrothrone TV because this legal conspiracy is still protecting theft. The British Museum holds millions of African artifacts: Benin bronzes, Ashanti gold, Ethiopian manuscripts, sculptures, masks, sacred objects. African nations have been requesting their return for decades, but the British Museum says they legally cannot return them. Why? Because of the British Museum Act 1963. The law states that the museum's Board of Trustees cannot dispose of objects in their collection, except in very specific circumstances. And the item was stolen during colonization is not one of those circumstances. So Britain created a legal framework that protects what they took. They made their own rules to justify keeping other people's heritage. When Nigeria asked for the Benin bronzes back, the museum said their hands were tied. When Ethiopia requested their stolen manuscripts, same response. The law won't allow it. But here's the thing. Britain wrote that law. Parliament can change it any time. They choose not to. Other countries have returned artifacts. France is discussing restitution. Germany has returned some items. The Netherlands is reviewing their collections. But Britain hides behind a law they created to protect colonial plunder. The British Museum Act 1963. A law written to keep what they stole. Follow Afrothrone TV for the systems they don't explain.
I think when we demand what was stolen from Africa, we call them artifacts. Sure, some were artifacts, but not all of it were artifacts. A lot of what the white people stole from us is our spiritual heritage that they use now to govern us. They wanted the golden stool so desperately they were prepared to go to war for it because they knew the power of the golden stool. So I think for the next 3 days, as we continue to explain and define what reparations are for us, we should remember that when we come to material reparations, which are the physical things that were taken from our continent, we should remember that our national altars, as we sit here, still lie in Europe, except for Eswatini, for they never captured their national altars. That's why they are the only country amongst us which still keeps the Queen Mother.
Give it back. America, Europe, give the land back. Give the artifacts back. Everything that you've ever stolen, all the resources that you've ever stolen from any territory, any country, give it back. We are not our forefathers. A new earth is on its way. You will not steal anymore. We will not tolerate it. It's time to give everything back. You can no longer say, if you don't do this, we're gonna do this. We are not our forefathers. and for all the African leaders that cahoots with you, all the leaders around the world that are in cahoots with you, it is time to pay your dues. It is time to give everything back. All the land, all the artifacts in your museums, in your homes, give it back. That's my message to you. Give it back.
Inside the African section of the Vatican
Welcome,
Museum.
Susan Ewai. Listen.
What you will see in this video today is very astonishing.
Exactly.
This section of the museum contains the Catholic Church collections from Africa over centuries.
From
The
Africa,
artworks in
over
this
centuries.
place tells a beautiful story of the cultures and religions of the African tribe untainted.
So, beautiful story of African cultures and sculptures untainted. So, we have beauty. Interesting.
On a closer look, you will notice that most of these arts were collected between the 17th and 21st century, meaning that they were probably stolen or taken by force.
See, they were stolen or taken by force. The Vatican, the church above all churches. That is what we are looking at. And we have to be factual about this. This is what we are talking about. And we cannot run away from this. This is what they've done. There is nothing holy about stealing other people's stuff. Let me say that again. There is nothing holy about stealing other people's stuff. It must all be returned. No excuses. And they have no moral basis whatsoever to come back and be preaching anything to anybody. Because they don't follow their own rules of thou shalt not steal. They have no morality whatsoever. I mean, look, this should be on the African soil with our people. There are reasons why we do certain things, and they've now put themselves above ours.
If Africans had not created these priceless artifacts, put value on them, and preserved them, Britain would not have found them to steal them in the first place. So who is best placed to protect these artifacts? And the true meaning of these artifacts, it most definitely is not the thief, i.e. Britain, it's the owner, Ghana.
These 19th century sculptures are some of the Quai Branly's treasured pieces. They were looted by France after its invasion in 1892, and they don't belong here. So should they be returned to their original home?
They cannot be returned to a so-called owner, who doesn't exist for these museums since these pieces came into our public collections legally, given the relations at the time.
When you say that the laws in this country make it impossible, again, this is utter nonsense. Laws can be changed. The laws were put in place to maintain that idiocy of white supremacy because of that colonial mentality. The laws should be changed and the artifacts should be returned to their origin, their owners.
That is the question raised by some experts who believe most African countries are not equipped to take care of these artifacts.
It means that these artifacts will lose value and they won't be able to take care of them, which again is another utterly nonsensical statement to make. If Africans had not created these priceless artifacts, put value on them and preserved them, Britain would not have found them to steal them in the first place. So who is best placed to protect these artifacts? And the true meaning of these artifacts, it most definitely is not the thief, i.e. Britain, it's the owner, Ghana.
So rather than refuse to return them outright, some, like the Victoria and Albert Museum in London, are offering long-term loans.
You cannot loan to the owner what you stole. It also demonstrates the height of colonial mentality that the British government in 2024, we have laws in place that allows the British government to bar these museums from giving back goods and artifacts that were stolen. Ghana is the owner of these artifacts. It is what I call the idiocy of white supremacy. It is colonial mentality at the highest level.
You take Edo State in Nigeria, for instance, the Kingdom of Benin. I mean, it was looted. It is said that they took between 5,000 and 7,000 objects, and those were the ones that were being ticked off. There are ones that were not ticked off because those were the ones that were going into private possessions. So if we talk restitution, it would mean that, and it was the British doing that. And a lot of that apparently was sold into private museums. 77 of them are in Scotland. They were sold in 1903 by William Webster. And they are all over making money, but not for Benin. So in that sense, restitution would mean restoring the museum in Edo State. The British have a responsibility to do that and to return those artifacts together with those that belong to the national altar of Berlin. Britain alone should do it. I'm not counting the other nations where those items are today, because they are the ones who attacked and looted Berlin. The pictures are available, the stories are available.
These are from Benin. Benin. Africa. You guys ready? Let's collect them and take them back home. Unbelievable. Come. Look at these beautiful things from Africa. The British, they stole everything. They stole everything.
Starting today, Germany is returning over 1,000 stolen Nigerian artifacts. But as a person with Nigerian roots living in Germany, it's a move that I see as way overdue. These priceless items were looted from the ancient kingdom of Benin by British forces during the colonial era and later sold to Germany. Nigerian leaders have been advocating for the bronze's return from German museums for decades, but Germany has been slow to respond with any concrete plans until now. While I see this as an important part in Germany confronting its colonial past, Nigerians shouldn't have to struggle just to own what was theirs.
Stolen treasures from Africa? Here's the jaw-dropping rundown of the top 27. First up, the Benin bronzes from Nigeria. Stunning plaques and sculptures looted in 1897. Then the Magdala treasures of Ethiopia. Crowns, manuscripts and ceremonial items taken from Emperor Tewodros II's palace. From Ghana, we have the Ashanti gold. Gold artifacts and jewelry seized during the Anglo-Ashanti Wars. Next, the great Zimbabwe birds. Soapstone carvings with deep cultural significance, now far from home. Ethiopia's sacred tablets representing the Ark of the Covenant, taken during the Battle of Magdala. And in South Africa, the Khoisan human remains, sadly taken for anthropological study. Nigeria's Nok terracotta sculptures, ancient figurines that ended up in European collections. From Kenya, the Tsavo man-eaters, the skulls and skins of two infamous lions. Sudan's Amana gold items taken during archaeological expeditions with dubious permissions. And the Kikuyu land of Kenya, fertile land confiscated for settlers. The Cameroonian Bamoun throne, an intricately beaded royal throne. And the world-famous Egyptian Rosetta Stone, its removal still a subject of debate today. Sudan's Nubian artifacts, items from tombs and temples taken during British-led digs. Nigeria's Igbo Alusi figures, sacred wooden sculptures representing deities, and Ethiopia's ancient manuscripts looted from monasteries and libraries. Botswana's Bechuanaland cattle, confiscated livestock. The Congolese ivory, looted for European luxury markets. And Maasai land, taken for plantations and reserves, is Nigeria's royal regalia of the Oba of Benin, ceremonial items like crowns and scepters. South Africa's Witwatersrand gold, extracted during British control. Tanzanian tanzanite, rare gemstones mined under colonial rule. Somalia's frankincense, harvested for British markets. Algerian corals, harvested for European jewelry. And Sierra Leonean diamonds, mined during colonial rule. Liberian rubber, exploited plantations. Ugandan coffee, plantations with profits funneled to Britain. And finally, Madagascar's exquisite silks, taken during colonial trade expeditions. These 27 artifacts not only symbolize a dark chapter in history, but also the ongoing struggle for repatriation and justice. Like this video to support Africaized.
Stolen, displayed, but never returned. Let that sink in for a second. Did you know that the British Museum holds over 8 million items, 8 million pieces of history? But here's the real kicker. More than 90% of Africa's most significant cultural treasures are not in Africa. They're in Europe, sitting in museums, thousands of miles from home. Today, let's talk about Ghana. Because what happened there wasn't just colonization, it was a heist on a national scale. Back in the 1800s, during the Anglo-Ashanti Wars, British soldiers didn't just conquer land. They looted. They systematically stripped the Ashanti Empire of its soul. We're talking about sacred gold regalia, royal stools that held the spirits of kings, intricate masks used in ancient ceremonies, ceremonial swords, and countless ancestral artifacts. And you have to understand, these weren't just pretty decorations. They weren't just trinkets to be put on a shelf. These were the living, breathing symbols of power, of culture, of spiritual authority. They were the glue that held the kingdom together. They took the golden trophy head, a powerful symbol of Ashanti victory and strength. They took the soul washers, badges, items of immense spiritual significance. They took the ceremonial swords that represented the very heart of the Ashanti kingdom. So, the big question is, where are all these priceless treasures now? Well, if you want to see them, you'll need to book a flight to London. They're sitting behind glass in the British Museum. And the labels. The labels are a masterpiece of colonial doublespeak. You'll see things like on long-term loan or, my personal favorite, unknown acquisition. Unknown. It's not unknown how you got it. You took it and Ghana has asked for them back. Oh, they have asked, again and again and again. They've pleaded, they've negotiated, they've demanded. But Britain's response? They say these artifacts belong to the world, that they are part of a global heritage. I have a genuine question. How does something stolen belong to the asterisk world asterisk, but not to the people you actually stole it from? How do you justify holding a nation's soul captive, and then have the audacity to say it's for everyone's benefit, and the insult on top of injury? They charge admission. They make you pay to see the stolen heritage of a people they tried to erase. They're profiting from a crime scene. Let's be clear. This isn't just dusty old history. This is ongoing theft. This is cultural violence dressed up in velvet ropes and fancy museum plaques. It's a wound that has never been allowed to heal. So, the message is simple. To the British Museum and to every other institution holding stolen history, return what you stole. It's time. Talk black to me. Support Black authors' books and new merch. The link is in my bio.